It's that time of year where gamers around the world argue about which game will win Game of the Year, while most of the discussion has centered around whether Claire Obscure Expedition 33 will win it at the Game Awards. Well, the big question for me is who wins the strategy game category this year, which is rather underwhelming. I mean, we have the likes of Civ 7, which by all accounts has underperformed based on the expectations of 2K, the publisher or owners of Firaxis, as well as fans. But I'll give you my take on this year's nominees at the end of this video. I want to focus on the quality of the games nominated or have won previously. Maybe quality isn't the right word. In the eyes of strategy game fans, the merit in which these games are nominated or have won the awards. These are not poor quality games for sure, but if you look at past winners of this category, the Game Awards has a love affair with AAA game companies and Nintendo. I'm talking specifically about the Game Awards, which is not the only award catered to the gaming industry, mind you. There is also the DICE Award, which is more focused on the craft of game development. The Game Awards is a funny beast of an award show. It began in 2014 and a strategy game category was only introduced in 2016. The winner for the strategy game category that year was Sid Meier's Civilization 6, which you would say that's a pretty fair win for Firaxis that year. Civ 6 is the biggest game in the series today, biggest and the bestseller as well. Why do I say they are big Nintendo fans? Well, they awarded Best Strategy Game to Mario plus Rabbids series twice, and Pikmin 4 won it in 2023. I would say the only non-AAA game that won it was the excellent Into the Breach by Subset Games, creators of FTL. And then we had Frostpunk 2 last year. 11-bit Studio isn't exactly a small company, but they aren't exactly AAA, more like AA, so I'll give them that. But almost every other year, a big game from a big game company has won it. The category was changed to strategy and sim games in 2020 as they awarded Microsoft Flight Simulator that year. I don't think because they primarily wanted to award that specific game. In all honesty, at least for the nominees of the Game Awards, the strategy genre was probably stifled by a smaller pool of games to be shortlisted as nominees. So adding on another small pool of games in terms of sims would also increase the list of games considered for this category. Now, how could the strategy genre have so few games nominated, you ask? Yes, it's obvious. They aren't picking from the countless small unknown Steam games for this category. So the Game Awards picks its nominees from a voting process that includes about 100 media and influencer outlets, which means these are games that are reviewed and written in even mainstream media. So the games that make it into nomination must have some sizable amount of press coverage, especially in the mainstream, which is why a game like Mario plus Rabbids can win instead of like Total War Warhammer 3 in 2022. And it's why the breathtaking
You're breathtaking!
Against the Storm couldn't even end up nominated in 2023, a game that had the highest positive reviews on Steam. And instead we had the strategy game winner be Pikmin 4 that year. Clearly there are other better strategy games, but not at the mainstream scale of a Nintendo game. So how does the Game Awards declare a winner? Well, results depend 90% on a voting jury and 10% from user votes, which you can do so on their website. But you have very little influence on what will win, and I choose not to do so as well, as you and I make up such a tiny portion of the votes. So this voting jury from the mainstream press are obviously not big strategy game players that have picked very mainstream and casual strategy games for winners sometimes, which you and I probably don't play or would ever consider to be the best strategy game in that specific year. Yeah, the mainstream outlets who make up the 90% of vote consideration for winners. Yeah, that's not very fair, is it? I'm not even sure the voting jury has even played many of the games nominated in the awards. But this is the flawed system that is the Game Awards. Many media outlets don't even review or provide coverage to smaller indie games or games they think may not have mainstream appeal. Well, because they need more eyeballs on their reviews and write-ups, so a lot of games get ignored. The sad thing is, this is a missed opportunity for countless smaller games that are doing some really cool things. I really enjoy these strategy games, but they will never end up nominated for an award in this show. And that means a huge wider audience of gamers will never be exposed to incredible strategy games, smart, innovative ones that may not have the marketing firepower or the viral moments that gives them the mainstream push they need. So we are left with a rather okay list of games to be crowned as the best strategy game this year. If you're wondering, sure, Endless Legend 2 is an early access game, so they couldn't put that in the list, right? But no, apparently even early access games can be considered. Where is Endless Legend 2 then? Why hasn't our esteemed jury from the video games outlets nominated the best Forex game of 2025? Or even Europa Universalis 5, which you think, oh, that came in the end of the year, right? But based on the FAQ on the Game Awards website, EU5 was released before the November 21st deadline. So yeah, EU5 actually falls within the duration of the nomination date. So we are stuck with this list of rather average nominations. No, not average, but I think it lacks excitement. It's not extraordinary. I think some of them are okay, or they are good or very good at best. Jurassic World Evolution 3 is considered to be the best in the series, but really, strategy game of the year, it probably isn't, right? Civ 7, don't even get me started talking about it. Final Fantasy Tactics is not even a new game. Yeah, it's got that sexy Final Fantasy branding. It's a great classic game, but nothing new per se. I would say The Alters tries something new and exciting. It is indeed an interesting game that blends storytelling and conflict in a management/survival game. But I think it's too rough and unpolished to be considered as the best this year. In this list, the strategy game of the year should be a fight between Tempest Rising and yes, 2 Point Museum, which, don't let the wacky style fool you. It is a great entry for the 2 Point series, possibly the best yet. I haven't played it, but from what I heard from people who have played it and from friends, 2 Point Museum is really something special. Tempest Rising is a very competent, great at spots Command and Conquer style RTS. It's getting even better with free updates bringing co-op, and recently they are going to be adding super weapons. Like, I'd be fine if this won the award. I mean, at release it's a little shy from being great. Maybe now it's a great RTS that could stand on its own with the best. I'm not sure, I haven't played it recently. Probably I need to dive back in and try to finish the campaign. So yeah, for smaller, in air quotes, smaller genres, the Game Awards may not be the best, fairest award show for the entire industry. I do wish they would reconsider the way they considered the winners and nominees, perhaps give more weight to outlets that have covered each genre with more depth, rather than a blanket 100 jury from the media, so it's more expertly considered rather than being a popularity contest or a sentiment feeling that this seems like a better game, by a very broad group of journalists. Anyway, I really like to hear your thoughts about this. Do you think the strategy game nominees are fair? Has it been that bad of a year? I think to some extent, I have to admit it's been a bit of a dud of a year. Not so great of a year. Not saying that there have not been great games. As I said, Endless Legend 2. It's slim pickings, but I do feel like EL2 and EU5 could have been added into the list. So anyway, what do you think about it? Who do you think should win it? If you were to pick your own strategy game of the year, any strategy game released this year, which is your game? Write it out in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts about this. What is your strategy game of the year? You can continue watching this video where I talked about the best Forex game this year, Endless Legend 2, or this other video where I talked about games that disappointed me, that includes Civilization 7. Go check out any of these videos. Thanks for watching and farewell, noble friends.